Hey everyone!
Hi.
Hello.
How's it going? I don't know. I was going to start with like introductions. So if you guys want to introduce yourself.
Okay.
For it.
I'm Amber. Amber reads romance.
I'm Becky.
Do I need to say more?
No, you're
Like,
good.
do I need to say more? Or...
No, you're fine. Oh my goodness, you guys are funny. I'm Tara from Tara Talks Books. Obviously, if you're here, you know that. Do you guys want to say what you're reading tonight, or how well you're doing on your bingo boards?
oh, I was actually trying to read, like, I'm in between a few things because, like, I'm trying to read this 12 Recs from 12 Friends. I had, like, one more book to read, and I'm really struggling with this Portrait of a Scotsman. Like, I was really bored, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to stick it out. I think I'm almost halfway done, but I'm also one to read this one. I got this one annotated by Jen because I'm on her Patreon.
Oh, cool.
So, like, I was going to listen to the audiobook because it was on Anyplay, but I'm like, I also want to read all her annotations. So I think I'm going to do it together, like read it well. So what about you guys?
I think I'm going to listen to an audiobook tonight because my eyes are bothering me. So I
Mhm.
will be listening to Beyond These Gilded Walls or Beyond Those Gilded Walls by Jessica S. Taylor. It's a dark fantasy romance.
Oh, cool.
Dark gothic fantasy romance. I'm about 5% into it, so I can't even tell you what it's about.
Yeah, I just started because I was like, I need another audiobook real quick. And I did the Infernium. I just started it, which is the second part of that. Nightshade, the duology thing. So
Well,
Tara.
I'm reading, well, I have an audiobook of this one, which is Just Like Magic, which thankfully Becky said it could count as a standalone because I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make it work. So thanks, Becky.
I don't know any other tropes in it, but
I don't think any of them would work. But I also have an ebook that I may or may not get to. Probably not, but it's Beastly and Bookish, and that's like a Christmas novella. And that should work for like Beauty and the Beast retelling for my board.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that one.
You read it?
I read it last year.
Okay. That's exciting. I got it free on the Kindle thing.
It might have forced proximity.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
An alien who's like a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Yeah,
what is that?
Mama needs to read romance or B. She's reading Ruby.
That's amazing. I had the Wraith King 2 by Juliet Cross that I was going to read, but I'm like, I don't even know what tropes it could fall under with like my bingo board. I just have been needing to get to it. So I have that on ebook. I have the book because I actually won something for once. So I never win those things on Instagram. But I'm like, I don't even know what tropes it has, and I have too many other things to read still, and it's not that much longer.
It might be like darker gothic, maybe.
Yeah, I think I was already counting the gothic for the Infernium one that I was going to read because then it's part of a duet, so I could do that. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get to it.
Yeah, I have been struggling this month with reading, so I need to read tonight to fill up my bingo board.
I feel like I've read a lot this month that I did not intentionally mean to. I've just done a lot of vlogs this month. So.
Yeah, because do you do that Christmas like daily vlog type of thing, Becky?
Oh no,
that must be so hard to do that.
I'm just doing daily videos.
Oh wow, yeah. That's hard. Like to put up that many.
I have
videos
5 more days. I have to because I'm doing it all month, not just till Christmas.
Wow.
And I have 5 more videos I have to put out.
Oh my goodness, I'm just doing it till Christmas, and I don't know how you're doing it all month.
I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna do it till Christmas, I might as well just do it for the next few days anyway. So,
I feel like once we're done, it's gonna be like, what am I doing with my life now?
Yeah, I'm gonna need to take a break. But then if I take a break, it's like YouTube will think I cease to exist, which it's not like I exist anyway in their little world. But
same.
Yeah, I had like usually I try to have I'm trying to do like just 2 times a week, but like this last week I only did like my weekly wrap up and I had like nothing else and I was like, "Oh well. This is all I'm doing this week." I just didn't have it in me to do like more filming. I just didn't.
I don't even. Usually, I have like a month in advance ideas of what to film, and I'm still stuck in December. I'm still trying to figure out what to film and what to post for these last few days that I need to get scheduled. I don't even want to think about January.
Yeah, because I was like stressing about like I'm like, oh, I got to do all like the top 10 books of the year, top 10 historical romance, like all this stuff, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna wait to post that in like January till it's like fully over because I'm just not, I'm not feeling it right now. But I don't know.
Do what you feel, man.
Yeah, and I'm like not a good planner. I just do it like the week of and figure out, oh, okay, let me see what. Well, and like usually I'll have like a vlog to throw up, but I hadn't been up to date on like my vlogs. Like, so I was like behind, but
I'm such a planner. I probably would have been done with this Bookmas stuff if I had started at the end of October when I did the last 2 years, but I didn't get it done. Started until the last week of November, so I'm lagging behind.
I feel like you're really good at like planning, like you're always ahead.
I like to think I'm great at planning.
Yeah, I like to. I procrastinate.
Like, oh, I can't. Like I gotta have something planned so that way I know when it needs to be done by.
Yeah, I'm like Amber. I'm a procrastinator as well.
Yeah. And then like I told myself I'm gonna do more trope videos because like I barely get those filmed, and then like I never do it. Like I'm like, oh my god, I need to do more. I'm like plan ahead, like of what so I don't like freak out and go, okay, which books am I gonna put in this trope rec video? But maybe this year, this next year, I'll be better at it.
Do you keep track of that, like on Goodreads or anything?
Yeah, I like tag a bunch of stuff. Like I have so many different like the tags on Goodreads, so I can just go, okay, billionaire. Here's a bunch of billionaire, whatever. I just always lag on planning the video and like putting it together, basically.
Gotcha.
Hey, Crystal.
Hey, sorry.
Hey.
No worries.
I'm eating pizza, so I'm so sorry.
You're fine. I was about to ask you guys if you wanted to do like a sprint. I usually do 30-minute sprints. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Theron says hello.
Oh, Joanna Shoop.
I haven't eaten anything for dinner, but I'm like, what do I want to? I feel like I should eat something somewhat nutritional, but like that requires me to actually make it, and I just don't have the energy to make it. So I've just been eating Christmas cookies all day, which is so unhealthy.
I know I had these leftover cookies from like, holiday party at work yesterday that were like homemade, that this guy's girlfriend makes them so good. Like we ask for them every year. And I was like, that's what I had for lunch. Just took those home with me.
I no joke. I was working constantly today. And I literally had my husband put in like some cookies, like 2 cookies that he's making. And then I had a thing of like some jerky thing for lunch. That's literally all I had.
Oh, I don't feel so bad now.
So bad.
Yeah.
B says she's eating pizza too, though.
I don't like pizza.
Oh, I like it too much.
I used to, but then it gave me stomach problems when I was in my 20s.
Oh.
And ever since then, just the smell of pizza now just makes me want to gag.
Oh, God.
Like, you go so long without something, and then just like the smell of it. Like, it's the same way with pork products for me. I just smell bacon frying, and I'm like, ugh.
I am the opposite. I smell bacon fry, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Theron said, had our school performance. It's over an hour. I didn't eat well all day. May have stopped and used bookstore, prioritizing books over food. Isn't that the way, Theron? Yep, used bookstore is greater than food.
I hate it because we don't have any good used bookstores out like in my area. Like I feel like San Diego really lacks and like cool. Like they have the Meet Cute book thing, but that's like downtown. But I'm like, I wish I could go into like in my small town, we used to have like such a cool used bookstore that was like stacked high, and it closed, like it went out of business. But I always see people post like cool used bookstore stuff on Instagram, and I'm like, man, I want to, because I want to find good like old historical romances, and those are like hard to find with good step backs and stuff.
I have a really like, it's not my favorite used bookstore that's near me, but they have like a whole long ass wall, actually 2 whole like walls of nothing but historical romances.
That's awesome.
And I wish I liked that bookstore more, but I don't like the person who runs it, and I don't like the prices of it because I think it's ridiculous for used books. So I stopped going there.
Yeah.
I don't have one near me either. I have one bookstore that's 30 minutes away, and it's like an independent. So it's not a huge selection, but I try and like support them because they're independent.
Yeah.
And then the other one's an hour away, and I can't remember what that one is, but it's a popular one. Books A Million, I think. So
we just got, I think it's New Jersey's first romance only bookstore. And it's not that far from me, and I keep meaning to go to it, but I haven't gotten there yet. I'm hoping maybe I could talk my sister into going tomorrow.
Yeah, like basically what we have is Barnes and Nobles, and I go in there and I leave. Like I just walk in and I'm like, no.
I love Barnes and Noble though.
I'm so cheap. Like I like look, I go, oh wait, I can get this cheaper on Amazon.
Oh, I do that too. I like wander around
just getting it.
And I like pick out books that just appeal to me. And then I'll go sit at the cafe and I will like go through my phone and be like, oh, I can get that cheaper on Amazon. Oh, I can get that on Everand. Oh, I can get that through the library. So like the stack of books I end up with dwindles down.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good strategy to save money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know me, I like to go by my library shopping and such like that. But I've they actually have one tomorrow too. So just cool. The monthly one. So I know this time of year everyone's getting rid of their going through and doing unhauls. I know I am too as well. So I want to donate some tomorrow, bring some to tomorrow, and go bring my son to that one. I'm hoping with the Barnes and Noble one, it's like 20, like about 30 minutes away as well. And I'm hoping, I wonder if they're going to have their sale that they usually do like right after Christmas, like their hardcover sale.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I wonder if Barnes and Noble's going to do that again. Last year they had like 33% and like cash back for members or whatever.
Wow.
So we'll see.
Oh, that's cool.
Last year I wasn't going to miss that, so I Ubered to the Barnes and Noble just so I could it was like a $40 Uber ride just so I could get books. I should have just stayed home and saved my money.
Do they do online? Is it online too? Because I don't have one.
I don't know, but it's just more fun to go in the store, you know?
Well, I just don't have one near me.
I'm just like,
well, there's some
yeah, I'll have to
online.
check it out this year because I have one right next to my work, you know? So it's like, it's kind of dangerous with it being over there because I'll just like go in to look. And then I used to love just going in there and just what Becky's saying is like grabbing a book of books, and I would go like to the copy section and like you look like you're just reading their books in the store. But I just wish they carried more independent like authors or darker romance, like stuff that like I like, you know, like a lot of times it's not there. So that's when I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know, you end up having to go to Amazon or the author's site or something like that.
Barnes and Nobles have really been doing a good job with like the dark romance and like indie romances and stuff. Like they'll have a whole ass table dedicated to
they've had like that TikTok, like they're jumping on the book talk thing where they would have like little signs of like book talk whatever books, you know. But I don't always trust book talks. So.
Oh, I don't either. But I'm
I'm like, okay,
you're displaying these dark and steamy romances. Good job.
I mean, last year I was able to use the sale to get like all like pretty much all the From Blood and Ash series and that like sister series in hardcover. But they didn't have all of them in the store. So trick is like there's a separate online one, usually a deal, but I don't know what the 50% on like hardcover is for online. But I do know if you go in store and they don't have the book you're looking for, you can order it from them and you'll still get the deal.
Oh, that's
And
good.
they'll ship it to your house. So just FYI, if they don't have it in the store, you can request to order it and they'll ship it directly to your house and you'll still get those benefits.
Yeah, because I like having the hardcovers better with fantasy for some reason. Like I want only like the hardcovers. I wanted to get because I finally finished ACOTAR with this readathon, so I did it finally. But I wanted to get like those dust jackets that I see people have. I'm like, they're so pretty because I don't really love the covers of like the ACOTAR series. I liked the old ones, but like when I went on Mercari, the amount that people were charging for those,
Crazy.
I was like, this is insane. Like, it's crazy. I always just like to go on Mercari to see like special edition books to see how much people actually like pay for this. I'm like, I got actually good deals on ones just by keeping an eye because I wanted the Pam Godwin, Mystic ones, and I actually got really good deals. But usually they'll be on there for like $300 for the book, and I'm like, I'm not paying that. So it's crazy what people pay for these editions.
Yeah, people are. I'm sad to say, but people are dumb.
Yeah.
I've sold a couple books on Pango for Fairy Loot editions for like $100 or more. Like I think the most was like $130 somebody paid for my When the Moon Hatched Fairy Loot edition.
Yeah.
And I was like,
normally aren't they like
$38?
$38. I was like, they have to be like $30, $40.
That's why those people that like are on the Mystic Box like thing, and then like people are on like wait lists to get on it forever, but they're like getting like they could just resell it for like 3 times the amount. Like they have a good like business going.
And I know people hate that, but it's like,
yeah,
people are buying it. Why wouldn't you try to get your money?
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like I didn't honestly think somebody was going to pay 100. I just put it at 130, and then somebody bought it. I was like, "Are you stupid? But give me my money. Your stupidity is my game."
Like I try haggling a little bit, like where you give them the different costs on like Mercari, and I'm like always like, oh, they're probably not going to give it to me now, but I've gotten it, so I'm like, at least try that.
Yeah.
Well, I always put them high, and then like week by week, I drop the price gradually until somebody buys it. But I'm amazed that people have spent over $100 for Fairy Loot.
Yeah.
I'm like, there is no book in this world that I would ever pay $100 to own. Ever. For one book.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind getting those. Speaking of Julia Quinn, like, was that which box was that with the nice like houses on the spine? I totally missed out on it. It was like 100 and some for all of those. Yeah, and I'm like, I wanted I think it's Fairy Loot. It might have been Fairy Loot.
No, it was Lumicrate.
Lumicrate. Yeah.
I wanted those ones
for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, I like saw those ones like as I would see people promote it all the time on Instagram of like the ACOTAR where it has like the night court, like on like the pages, like it was so pretty. I'm like, oh my god, I want that, but like I'm not gonna pay that much for it. I'm like, it looks so pretty, but I was like, no.
I think that it's got to be like the price of the individual book. Like it's got to be worth it.
Yeah.
It can't be like $300 for 5 books when you could go to Barnes and Noble and get hardbacks for much cheaper for the whole set. Like, I'm not gonna spend more than what the book company is selling it for originally. Like, if I miss out, I miss out.
Yeah,
there is no book in this world I love enough to spend that much money on.
Yeah, unless it's like a absolute like love kind of thing, but I don't. Yeah. Like, I don't normally have more than one copy of a book unless it's my Jane Eyre book. The different classic version.
I mean, I have multiple copies of Radiance, but I'm not going to spend $100 on one single copy of that book, no matter how pretty it is. But, to each their own. Do what you want with your money.
Speaking of which, I'm reading that one.
Is that what you're reading?
Oh, good. Radiance. I need to continue that with the second one. Or is it 2 or 3 books in that?
Say what?
How are you liking
Was it 2? Oh, sorry.
I read like the first 2 chapters. I've only read the first 2 chapters, so I've liked it so far. So yeah.
Is this
I'm
your
read
first
it for-
You're not gonna like it because it is so low angst.
That's
Yeah.
fine. I like Friends to Lovers. It's just it's usually Friends to Lovers I don't like in contemporary usually because it's usually not as well done as fantasy or historical romance for me. But yeah, I like Friends to Lovers.
Well,
I mean,
hope
I was
you
Team
like it.
Raoul during the Romantasy.
Yeah. So I thought you like loved Friends to Lovers.
Oh, I
Like,
love Second Chance. Second Chance
Yeah.
and Friends to Lovers together is like the best combo. One of the best combos.
I
I
feel
think.
very picky about Friends to Lovers and Second Chance. So like it like really has to blow me away because I usually get like irritated with contemporary ones. I'm like, you're just telling me in Second Chance how much they loved each other. And it's like I want to see it like on page kind of thing. And like I don't know, but when it's done like really well, I love it. But it's just hard to find like the one that I really like.
I like the ones where
Same
like
for
they're
Time Travel,
childhood friends to lovers and then they're ripped apart.
That one, yeah.
That's the one I like.
See, and
Like
I
a
like the
different
ones like
romantic.
Radiance where they're like complete strangers, but then they form a friendship
Oh, that's cute
Yeah.
too.
and then they fall in love.
Yeah. I just don't like being told like where it's like, oh, they've been friends forever and then now it's like you didn't even get to see them become friends. Like that's why I kind of like that, or see them as kids and then see them, like I don't know. I just need to kind of see something. Some of it's just like thrown back in as like a second chance, but then I don't even feel their chemistry or anything because you're just kind of told about their history. So then it's just kind of to me.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Amber, that has 3 books in it so far.
3 books? Okay, yeah, because I needed to continue that one. I only read the first one.
Because
Yeah, the other one that I'm. Sorry.
What? Go ahead.
I think the other one that I caught my eye that here is like the Beauty and the Beast version. I think Entreat Me is one I want to read by this.
Oh,
author,
I
too.
love that one.
Yeah, because I love Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not connected to that series though, just FYI.
Is that
Yeah.
I know. I think. Yeah, I heard it's separate. Yeah, it's like a standalone, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
Entreat Me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that one.
try it.
Eidolon follows Brishan and Aldiko from that book. And then the third book, The Ippos King, follows Anshul.
So different couples?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, for some reason I thought the second one continued their story.
It does.
or
The second one
something.
continues
Oh, okay.
Brishan and Aldiko, and then the third one follows a new couple.
Oh, okay.
But I loved all of them, so.
And that's by
I
Grace
love it.
Draven.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's on my TBR.
Like
One day.
like
And
so
my
many
TBR.
things.
All right, guys. Do you want to go ahead and jump onto a sprint? Are you guys ready?
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right.
Just got to figure out which book I'm going to read out of these 3.
Right?
What do you have? What's your selections, Amber?
Well, I'm trying to get through this one and I'm not having a great time with it. So it's like really boring me. But I was trying to push through because I'm almost 50%. But then I'm reading, which I only just started this. So I really want to read this too. And then I have The Wraith King, but I don't know what tropes it would fit under. So I don't even know if I'm going to read it.
Is that Scott one, the Scotsman one? Is that part of a series?
It is.
Yeah, I think it's like the third
DNF
book.
a series. That's a prompt.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes. I can fit this into some kind of prompt, huh? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like
stand alone in the series, it'll work.
Yeah, I'm like, I think I guess I could do Wraith King. It's a standalone, right? Or is that going to be a series? It's probably going to be a series. I don't know.
Well, you could start a
Not
series.
yet.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
I read the first 2 in the series that you're reading right now, that historical romance one. I thought the first one was okay, but I loved the second one.
Well, and then I read, like, I was just really bored by it. Like, it was like, I literally started falling asleep 3 different times, like nodding off, and I was only 50 pages in. And I was like, oh my God. And then I read reviews and I was like, ooh, uh-oh. Like, but I mean, it's one of my 12 Arcs from 12 Friends, so I want to give it more of a chance than DNFing it right away. because it's the only one that I would have DNF'd. So I think I'm going to give it a shot. It's getting a little bit better, but I don't know. It's not my favorite, really, but we'll see. I probably should just DNF it and move on.
Are you going to do that again next year, the 12 Rex from 12?
Yeah, I was about to put a post up tomorrow to get some Recs because it was kind of cool doing it because I read stuff that I wouldn't have read. So it kind of introduced me to some other stuff that like I probably would never have picked it up. Like this, let alone like not a good example, but like I don't pick covers with cartoony. Like I don't like that. So it automatically like puts me off from a book. But I guess I'm kind of in the minority, I think, on that because so many people
I
like
hate them too.
Okay, thank you. Because I'll see these people put polls on Instagram and they're like, oh, do you like cartoon or like people covers or discreet? And I'm like, people covers. And everybody else is like, discreet. I'm like, oh, like I kind of want this trend to be over with. Like,
I hate the covers.
Yeah, because it's like too like they promote like it'll be a super spicy book that somebody and
it
looks
like
cutesy.
something you would see in the YA section.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah, so I'll be posting that. So hopefully you can give me another good book, Becky. Since you gave me
I
Nightshade.
read so few dark romances
I know.
that I'm like, what can I recommend her?
I read other stuff. I read historical. I read like, others. I don't just read dark romance, but I know I primarily probably post about that.
Because I try to recommend things to people that I think they might actually enjoy. Because I tried that 12 Recs from 12 Friends. And I gave up halfway through because I didn't like a single book anybody recommended me. I'm like, I'm never doing that again because I can't trust you people.
I know, like, I'm like, some were okay. I'm like, oh, okay. Some I really loved. So it was kind of like a mixed bag. And then, of course, the last one to end up the year, I'm like, oh, I don't really like this one. And it's a lot of people like you're just like that. It's just through Instagram. So it's not like they totally know my preference from like watching my channel or something. So they like are giving me that kind of stuff when I probably wouldn't read that.
I know some people do it, like recommend me a book, but please don't recommend me these things.
Yeah. I did put like, because I hate Haunting Adeline. Like I have a whole vlog going off on it. I DNF'd it twice. And so I was like, don't recommend me Haunting Adeline. Which I know like also everybody loves that book, which I
DNF'd it too.
Thank you. Like that's what made me mad when I went into Barnes and Nobles. I'm like, you have this, but you don't have like a Sam Mariano book here. Like you don't have but we have Haunting Adeline. I'm like, I don't like it.
Can you guys hear Tara?
Tara, are you there?
Oh, we can't hear you.
She's probably been trying to and let's start sprints, everybody, for the last 5 minutes. And we can't hear her.
No one listened to me.
She's like, why can't anybody hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yes.
You know.
Okay. What it was is I think my mic died.
Oh.
That's okay.
Now I can hear you.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you, Crystal. I want to just continue talking. We may have never gone to sprints.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm going to actually start them, I promise.
Okay.
All right. So I did 30 minutes. I'll go ahead and mute myself and then I'll start the timer. Okay. Happy reading.
Okay.
So, how did everybody's reading go?
That's a good question.
I'm like, okay.
I mean, I got stuff listened to. I'm up to 17% now, so I went from 5 to 17.
That's not bad.
That's good.
How did yours go, Crystal?
It's cute so far. I like it. I just gotta. I didn't get to read very much. I read like a chapter and almost 2 chapters. I literally had a page left, but it was good so far. But yeah.
Amber, how was yours?
Well, I started to read the Scotsman one, but then it was getting dark over here and I only have my ring light. So I was like, okay, so I went and started the Wraith King one. Just read a little bit of that. So it's an interesting beginning.
You're both reading the Wraith Kings.
Wait, which one's the Race King? Is that the new one from
It's the Juliet Cross one.
Juliet Cross one? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have it. I don't know. I put the physical copy, but I just had it on my TBR for a couple months, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is the perfect time to get to it. But then I just had been not reading it because I had so many other ones that were hitting certain tropes. So,
Yeah, I just listened to my audiobook and I ate my sushi. So,
Sushi. That sounds good.
it was good.
This
Excited.
username, I like that username.
Constellation Cat.
That, yeah, that's a cool name.
Yeah. So, how are you guys doing with your bingo cards?
I got 1 space left.
1 space left?
Mm-hmm.
I was debating because I was doing the big one, so I'm trying to do the larger one and black it out.
Mm-hmm.
But depending on how I do, I might do the smaller one. But I think I can do it. So I still need to update it. I finished this week from Blood and Ash, and I really liked it. But I'm like, man, that's a long series.
It is.
So I'm like, oh, that's gonna start another series I need to finish. It always happens with fantasy. Like I start something and then I jump around, and now it's like. So I definitely want to continue with that, though.
They need more standalone, decent fantasy.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of starting series.
Yeah.
I just want to know that I read something and I'm like, look at me, I feel accomplished.
I know, like after I finally finished the last ACOTAR book, I was like, I did it. But then I was like, wait, because I'm new at like Sarah J. Maas. This is the first Sarah J. Maas. I'm like, there's so much going on still. So then I was like, it was late at night. And I think it was like 1:00 when I finished it. And I started just like searching the next book, like what's going on. But I want to try and get to Throne of Glass series because I heard a lot of people love that one even more. So,
yeah, I still love ACOTAR the most, but it can be Throne of Glass is good, but it's really more. It's the romance is like a subplot, so it's very more
fantasy.
Yeah,
more the romance is like it's a very subplot, but it's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for my bingo card, I've only read 3 books so far this month. This is how great I am right now, but of reading with my schedule. But I only have War of Two Queens on there, but it was able to fill multiple prompts. And
yeah, I saw that. And I was like, she did so many prompts with that one book. That's awesome.
And I was like, okay, well, I didn't want to use my other 2 that's not Romantasy yet, so I'm saving those. So I'm trying to fill it with just to see how many Romantasy ones I can fill from my card. And if I don't, then I can still try to fill it with the other 2 that I read, which was, I got distracted by Pan Godwin and I was reading
You finished it.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing that too because I was like, I really want to just try and put the Romantasy stuff on the bingo board. But I'm like, if I need to, I can fill it up with some of the other contemporary ones that I had. Because I had so many arcs this month that just like stressed me out. So it's like nice. That's a problem I do to myself. Is I sign up for too many arcs and then I get stressed out and it's like you can't even mood read. Plus it's like the last few months I've been in readathon. So it was like like, okay, good. January I'm gonna have a break, but then I saw they're doing a historical romance thing. I don't know if it's a full year readathon, but I'm like
it's a week, right?
A week
or two.
yeah. Which I always want to read. I always want to read more historical. It's like when you sign up so many arcs, you end up reading so many like contemporary kind of stuff that I feel like I've let historical romance. I'm not reading it as much, which I really want to, because I need to try a lot more new, different historical romance authors than I'm used to reading.
Yeah, I think I have 2 arcs for January that are historical romance that I have to read. One of them I think is the one that you, Tara, and like B have read, the Giovanna, her novella.
Nostalgia, yeah.
Yeah, and then I have one that I got from NetGalley for Loretta Chase's new book. That's actually a second chance. I didn't know it's part of a series, but it releases in January sometime. So I think it's towards the end of January. So it sounds really good.
I have 4 arcs left I gotta read, but the next one isn't due until February, so.
Oh, that's good. I have 2 due in January, I think. If I can.
Well, this audiobook I'm listening to, it's an audio arc that I got through NetGalley, and I think it's due
that's cool.
December 31st or December 27th or something like that.
How do you receive a ALC? Do you get it through like an Audible link when they send you that? Or?
And it just goes to the NetGalley app. And you download
to the app. Okay.
Yeah.
And then like I get them through Valentine PR. Like they have a lot of ALCs they do, and it just depends. Like sometimes they'll do Audible codes, or they'll just send it. It goes to your book funnel, and then you can listen to it on the book funnel app. Or like sometimes even with Valentine PR, it'd be like, oh, it's on NetGalley type of thing. But yeah, I think I was just counting because I was looking at my spreadsheet. I think I might have like 9 in January again. So. Some of those are ALC, so you don't know sometimes if you're going to get the ALC or not. Like I got annoyed because I didn't get the Jagger Cole one I wanted, but I think it's because I already got the arcs for that entire series. So they probably were like, because they had a question like, did you get an arc for this? So I was like, oh, okay. I guess they want to give it to somebody that hasn't read it yet. But I was just excited because he had no audiobook.
There's an audio arc. I'll request that too and hope they give me the audio arc because I'm more likely to finish audio arcs than I am e-arcs.
Yeah. I think I've only ever gotten 1 audio arc.
Yeah, once I found like Valentine PR doing them, like I sign up for them all the time because I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is like a free audiobook instead of me spending my money. And I've like, I found some really good ones. And so, and I like it because it makes me try new authors where like, usually I would just pick arcs of authors I'm used to or whatever. And it's like, oh, I've never read them before. Let me just try it. It's like, cause I can listen to an audiobook super easy. Yeah. And so that's kind of nice because it's made me discover like different authors.
That's good.
Oh my God, it was so funny. This is a side note, but I was just looking because I won like that Crimson Ridge. Like, well, I did that thing. Like, I don't know if you guys have read Braving the Storm or like Chasing the Wild from Elliot Rose or whatever. But she did the PR company did a fun thing where like you put a post on Instagram, like asking them to hire you because it's like a ranch type of thing. And then they sent you the physical arc and it came with a bunch of stuff. And I just posted that on Instagram and I got so irritated because this person was like, oh, so is it because it's like a step uncle, type of thing. She goes, oh, so this is promoting incest. I was like, okay, no, like it's a step. And then she kept going. And I almost like, I'm about like to hide the comments because I'm like, you don't need to be kink shaming on here. I'm like, there's like a whole stepdad, stepbrother romance. People read this.
Like,
so just.
Don't read it if you don't like it.
I know. She's like, oh, that's icky. And I'm like, okay. Like,
so read it.
So bye.
And you
read it.
I had somebody do that one time. Like it was like my first rude comment. I had never gotten one like on YouTube when I first started. And I did like The Wild and the Free by Kay Webster. I'd already read them, but I did like a vlog rereading it. And this person like was going off about me doing this video and promoting this. And it's like, well, you had to search for this because by the time they looked at it, it was like a really old video. And I remember telling Jen about it because I was like, what do you do? And she like went on there and clapped back at them too. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because like once I engaged, like, or she engaged too, it just kept going back and forth. And I'm just like, it's crazy to me, the haters. I'm like, well, if it literally says it's taboo and in a bad, like that stuff. It's like, don't watch my video then, just move on. But that's how the internet is.
Serious is because I knew what it involved. And I was like, nope, I don't like this.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to read it.
Well, and they tried to say it was hidden. And I'm like, it literally says what it is. Like it doesn't, it's not hiding anything.
People's videos because people were talking about it years ago and I watched people's YouTube videos. I was like, yeah, okay, I don't want to read that.
I feel like even though like,
because I am a kink shamer, I shame people for their kinks all the time. I just don't do it publicly.
I just don't want to do it on my channel.
Like an adult.
Behind your back.
That's right. I turn my camera off and then I kink shame people. Like a civilized adult.
Yeah, but I thought that was funny. I'm like, oh, I'm promoting it. Because I put something, I'm like, it's like, it barely even says it too. I'm like, oh, it's more about the book and like the tarot cards that it comes with. But okay.
Yeah, and I feel like they just were like on your video, like that's just more engagement for you. So
yeah, it's like, come back.
You should be like, well, by commenting, you're just further adding this to the algorithm. So
thanks for helping my engagement.
Yeah. Thank you for helping to promote this.
We appreciate it.
I just get really passive aggressive and snarky with people like that.
Yeah, I'm already like super passive aggressive. So like I have to edit myself at work because I'll like write an email and I go, oh, like I have to delete it a few times because I'm like the passive aggressive bitch is coming through in these.
Like, because I'm not aggressive, so I got to be passive aggressive.
I don't even mean to be passive aggressive in my emails, my tone. I'm like, I am just like neurodivergent. So I'm like, I'm just saying what it is. I'm being very specific. And I'm like, I'm not being rude or anything, but I'm like, when I go back, like, oh, that could probably be perceived as rude, but I'm like, I didn't lie.
Yeah, I always want to be like, as previously stated, like, and then like highlight where it's in the previous email. Like, I'm like,
it's like you're asking me for the third time for the information that's already in the body of the email. I like go in, highlight,
like, read.
You're taking more time for me if you would just read.
That's why I'm glad I'm on my vacation right now. I needed a break from dealing with work. I needed a break.
Me too. It's exciting. I'm not doing well on my bingo card, FY.
Oh yeah.
I have read 0 romantasy. I'm read 2 historical romance novellas. Go me.
Well, but hit those prompts.
Yeah. I mean, and then I started Beastly and Bookish. So, but I'm only like, I don't know, like 4% in. Which because I think is probably considered like romantasy kind of. I don't know, or paranormal.
I did from Beauty and the Beast, and I was like, oh, this is fantasy. And then it was dragons. It was that Briarly one, which I saw like Crystal talk about from Crystal's Bookish Life, where it was like an MM, like dragon Beauty and the Beast thing set in World War II. It was interesting. But I was like, oh, cool. A novella that got me a few prompts here. I can definitely take that.
That's good.
I was really hoping that this book I'm reading was a Beauty and the Beast, so I could like, but it's not. It could be dark and gothic, but I've already used that trope, or I've already used that square. I got to use one more of the things from the first prompt card, which is difficult.
Yeah. I had like one book in mind to like fill up a lot, and I haven't started it yet, but it was Pestilence by Lauren Thalassa. And I was like, oh, this can fill up a lot because this can be enemies to lovers,
Yeah.
villain hero. And I was like, and it could even consider like Death in the Maiden. And I was like, oh, and I'm failing. I haven't even started it.
I love that one, but I never continue the series. It's another thing of like me liking something and never continuing. Like I'm so bad at it. Like I'm in the middle of so many series. Like I just like, especially too, like with Mafia, they have so many long Mafia series. And so like I bounce around from different authors. And so I always feel like I'm just never finishing it, but I want to get back to that series and read War because I really liked that one.
I liked it too, but then I heard like the other books are so similar in plot to that one. I was
Yeah.
like, I liked it, but I didn't love it that much that I want to read the same plot over and over.
Yeah.
So I guess the series. I was like, I'm good.
Just starting to read Romantasy. Recommended ACOTAR. I wouldn't even know anything about that. I haven't read ACOTAR yet. I've only read like Fourth Wing. I know.
I just finished it finally. So,
I mean, I read it after Guild. Like, I read Guild, and then I read like a few books in that. But like when I read ACOTAR, I was a goner, especially after the 5th chapter in the 2nd book.
Really?
Yeah.
Because there were certain phrases in the first one, and I was like, really? We're using that phrase, but then I kept going, and it was okay. I'm hooked, and then I'm like, okay, I want to continue.
Yeah,
and I was really hooked by chapter 5.
I like thought, okay, I read the first book. I'm like, this is okay.
Same.
And I was like all hyped on Reese, like right from the get go. And I was like, well, I like this guy. And then like getting to the second book, you're like, okay. So I always like, I'm trying to get my mom to read it. I made her listen on a road trip to like the graphic audio for the first one. So I'm like, you got to get to the second one though, because that's where it gets good. You know, like she liked it, but she wasn't like, because the first one is just like, oh, okay, you know, but then it gets so good. Like I literally cried really like the last 2 books of the series. Like I really like bawled, like where I was annotating, I had like the tear on the page and I couldn't believe I was crying. I was like, I'm crying.
I cried listening to the graphic audio of A Court.
That's what it was. And a certain character, which I don't want to bring up, but, and then I actually really like Nesta. So like,
I didn't like her until I got her story. And then I was like, okay.
I just felt like she was such a complex character and like a complex heroine that was like really well done, that like had such a good arc. So like her book was like really emotional, I think. So I really loved it. I think I gave the first book, like, I think I went up to 5 stars when I reread it. And then the other ones I gave like all 6 stars too. So I really, really liked it. Yeah, I loved it. If you get me to cry and I'm like thinking about it, you know, it's like.
I think I had read some fantasy romance books before ACOTAR, but I didn't realize that that's what, like, I just grouped them in with paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I read ACOTAR when everybody was like, that's fantasy romance. And I'm like, wait a minute. I have read fantasy romance before.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, like my fantasy was more like I read like the Game of Thrones series, you know, Lord of the Rings. I wasn't really reading like romance fantasy. So that was, I think that was kind of like my first real like romantasy that I've read, except for paranormal stuff. I reed lots of like paranormal.
I looked back and I was like, holy shit, I was reading fantasy romance back in like the early 2010s, but I just didn't know that was what it was called, because it was set in a fantasy world and it had like fantasy aspects to it, but they just called it paranormal back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was when I was like YA. I'm like, that was what I was like wanting was, oh, I want the romance part with the fantasy. And you know, like I think we know now too that a lot of the books that are considered YA aren't technically YA, but it's just what they, you know, all that discussion on putting women in those kind of boxes. But I'm like, now that I'm looking at like, oh, I wanted that epic world and like the slow burn, waiting until a certain point where, you know, they get together, but it was still YA. There was like no spice, but there's a lot of tension. I'm like, that's the part that was keeping me there was, you know, the drama and the tension and the romance between them.
I just wish they would start aging up the characters in some fantasy romance.
Yeah.
Can't they be 30-year-old women? You can have a 500-year-old immortal fall in love with a 30-year-old woman. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to behave the same pretty much, okay?
I just listened to Hollow Heathens because I had that on my thing forever for like the witches, and I had it forever on my TBR, and people like loved it, and I was just kind of like okay with it. And a part of it was like they're supposed to be in like their mid-20s, but they like I hate it when they write like they're in high school, like that kind of tone, but it's like, oh, they're 24. That was one of my problems with Fourth Wing was they came off so immature. I'm like, this does not, it's like they aged them up so they could add the spice at the end or whatever. But to me, I'm like, her voice and how they talked, I'm like, this is like an 18-year-old. Like, so I'm like, they need to know like how to kind of write the correct age. And
it's weird because half of the authors are not 18 to 21-year-olds.
Yeah.
They're in their 30s. So just write you.
Write you.
into just write what you would do, not what you think a 19-year-old would do. It can't be that difficult.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you need to make them believable older characters and not just write your new adult characters and say, oh, they're 30. No, you got to make them 30 and act accordingly.
Yeah, because the Hollow Heathens, it was interesting. It had a good setup. It had good promise, but like I didn't think there was good enough world building. There was barely any magic in it for like it being witches. It was like, it just had a lot of stuff that I thought it like missed. And then I was just like, they're like acting like they were in high school kind of drama, and like it felt more like a Secret Circle. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show. And then I actually read the book, but it really felt like Secret Circle, not like it's like adults. So I was like, And it was long. I was like, I think it's like 600 pages. And then the end, I was like frustrated because it like just like, it's like you have to wait for the happily ever to the end. And then it was over. And I'm like, wait, but it was 600 pages. Why did we draw it out? That's my problem is when I'm fine with a long book if it's paced right. But it's like a lot of them are just writing long books to have like this long page count and with the way KU is and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I don't know.
Did that book have a boarding school or school setting or something like that?
It didn't, but the Nicole Fiorna, I'm probably saying her last name wrong. She had that Stay With Me series that was at a boarding school that I really liked.
There was a reason why I didn't want to read that book. I don't remember because I knew it had witches in it, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I looked at something, and I was like, "Oh, never mind."
It sounded like they were at a boarding school, but they were like grown adults. Like that's what I was like. Oh, this isn't giving me like. I didn't hate it. It just was like I've seen people talk about it like it's so amazing, and I just didn't. I thought there was a lot of missing stuff in it or whatever, and there's like another book after that, but then I looked at it was also super long and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go to it.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one.
She had that Stay With Me series that was really good, but it's very young too.
Yeah, I feel like too with Fourth Wing, it does. You can tell. I had to like kind of just ignore it. I was like,
I think
this is how it is.
I weirdly enjoyed it that way because it reminded me of what I wanted YA to be. I wanted it to be like that, but yet with some spice. So for me, it was, and it was just a word college. So for me, it's like how April explains it so very well, or just like the analogy she uses is like CW. So I'm like, that's exactly what I want. I want that. So
I think the audio, the narration also made it sound like, because I listened to it too, and I was like, oh, it's like a very young, like, like voice. I was just like,
I did not like
I literally just in re-listening to because I got off of the Audible sale, I'm rereading via the graphic audio for Fourth Wing. I'm like, yeah, if I would have listened to this, I would have been like not liking it because it's super cheesy.
Yeah.
Read
physically,
so
Mhm.
I didn't like it. I think I'm one of the like I didn't love Fourth Wing. But thank you. Like
Yeah,
I felt
I
bad,
didn't
but
like
I was
it.
like
right
I
there
had a
with
lot of
you.
issues with it. So
Anytime you're like, I think I'm in the minority, you might as well just ask me.
me and you, we got
with
this. But I was like, I didn't enjoy it. And I was like, and then I was mad. I was like, you promised me Teddy Hamilton on this audiobook. And then it was like the one chapter at the
One
end.
chapter. It's so annoying.
Like, couldn't you make
I'm
this
still
duet
annoyed by that.
narration or something?
Like, give me
I was
the
like, oh, that was
voice,
the
I
best
wanna
part.
know.
It was Teddy Hamilton.
That's funny.
It wasn't the worst thing I've ever read, but
No, I just
definitely-
didn't like, I think it's very
Okay.
hyped.
It's not a 6-star. It's not going to be a 6-star series for me, but it's always going to be a 5-star for me just because I just have a lot of fun with it. Enjoyed it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the characters. I also hated her nickname. I was like, violence, really?
Well, and I wanted better dragons. Like the dragon.
Oh yeah, the dragons were like the best part of it.
Like, and I wanted them better, like than that. Like they seem kind of like, I don't know.
They seem like big dogs.
I
Yeah,
actually like the fact that the dragons have their own personality. That was like that's
Yeah.
so cool to me.
That was the best part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it, but I am not. Don't come to me for fantasy. Like,
Yeah, I don't read a ton of fantasy, so
yeah.
I'm not the expert.
Yeah. If
And I
a
reread so
historical
many.
fiction,
I'm so bad at it.
for
So I can
women.
never recommend more because I'm rereading the ones I love.
It's like I'm
And then branch out to another one.
all the ones I love, people have never heard of,
Which I love.
and I'm just
That's
like,
good. It's helping us
I'm
discover
like,
new
why can't
authors
people- Why
too.
can't a book that I love just become super, super hyped, and I could be like, yes, I was there first.
I told you.
I
You gotta
tried
get
to
on
jump on
TikTok
Fourth
for that to
Wing when it
happen.
came out. I was like, I'm gonna jump on this hype train, and then I was like, this hype train sucks. Get me off of it.
Well, and that's what's hard for me too.
Empire series by Frankie Diane Malice. I'm like, I know it's like not. It's still look. Some people love it, but I'm like, I'm just like, can someone else love this series too, just as much as me?
Well, well, it's funny too, is because like I end up rereading stuff that's like nostalgic for me. Like I have historical romance. This is like what I always reread. And I like as a kid, I think I was really young. I say kid, I don't know how old I was, but way too young to read The Wolf and the Dove by Kathleen E. Woodiwiss. It's like Kelly got assault on page in that. Like when I thought about it, I was like, but I loved that book where I'm like, I think I want to reread it again to see if it holds up because I think I've reread it like so many times. And people are like, Kathleen E. Woodiwiss, you know, like it's like the old school bodice ripper type of historical. So I don't mind those type of historical romances. So I always like go back to those to do like rereads. Like I want to reread Binding this series, but it's so thick and big that like, because I wanted to reread it and annotate it. I'm like, I'm gonna have to wait a while because I read those at the end of the year last year.
Mm.
But they're long.
It's critical how people
have so
nowadays
much
are
in
like, oh,
common.
teenagers shouldn't be reading some of the stuff that's out there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do you have any idea that I was reading freaking V.C. Andrews
Yeah.
as like an early
Well, and I read
high
like Kiss
schooler.
the Girls as a kid, you know, but like I was reading those kind of like,
And, I was
and
like,
it's
that's
way worse than the
sexual
movie
stuff.
where. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
and
I
it didn't
think-
scar me for life. Like, let the kids read their smut. Jesus.
Well, talking about like historical romance, I'm like, that's the other thing is like people seeing how historical romance is said. I'm like, guys, romantasy and historical romance have so much in common. You're just like
yeah.
closing the door and opportunities to enjoy even more books. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
very, very similar. Yeah,
It's hard
they
to
share a lot
find
of
new
things.
historical romance authors that like I love, like newer ones.
Mhm.
Like, but I love reading Erin Langston's like Forever Your Rogue. Like I freaking loved
wanna
that.
try
Like,
that,
and so like I that's what I want to discover is like it's kind of hard to find newer ones. I'm so used to just reading the old school ones that like I love. So I'm like that's what's kind of tough with historical. And you know, but I mean definitely fantasy has that for sure. But like I was frustrated by like buddy read thing we tried to do.
You know
What?
how they are in historical? It's like I think some people don't gravitate toward it because it's like, oh my god, he got turned on by an ankle.
Yeah.
Whereas
You gotta
people
love
want
that when
their,
you watch like Pride and Prejudice where they just the handhold, like
yeah,
that's just like
and people want their smutty smut. And it's like,
yeah.
ooh, this dude's getting
It could
turned
be
on by an
steamy.
ankle. I don't
mean,
want that.
I mean,
Well, and that's what's
smash your
problem too is
time in
everything's
time.
promoted for smut now. Like smut, it's like what like so now authors that didn't write the over the top smut, they're like putting it into their books too much where it doesn't even feel like authentic sometimes. Like I felt that with some of Elsie Silver's stuff. I'm like, you didn't used to do that, and then now it's what gets those quotes and gets the hype on like TikTok. And so to me, it's like when there's too much smut, like I want smut. I'm not saying I don't want smut, but like when it's every chapter, like I start to like check out and I'm like skimming and I'm like, I
just
can't.
read a book for my Christmas smut vlog. And I got tired of reading the smut because it was so long and so like all the crude words used.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, how long is this scene?
Yeah.
And it was labeled an erotica, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But even in erotica, I'm like, that's
Gotta have some
lot.
development here.
So
Yeah,
that's why I can't read Katie Robert. And like I'm like every time I read a Katie Robert, I'm like, oh, we just had like, especially when it's like sharing and over the top sex scene and it's going on for a long chapter, and then it's like they're doing it again already in the next chapter. And I'm like, give the girl a break. Like she just like went through. I'm just like, oh my God. So
I think there's a difference. Yeah.
Keep talking at the same time.
Sorry. Go ahead, Crystal.
Well, I think there's a difference with what's people forgetting is there's a difference between you can still have a spice, but we're forgetting about the steam. And that's what, if you don't have the steam, you make the spice kind of feel not worth it sometimes.
Yeah.
If you can't get the steam, I'm like, let's focus on the chemistry and the tension and that part where, you can have not even be an actual sexual scene, but have so much tension and like the hand flexing or just the arms. I mean, the female gaze. I mean, it's just
I think that's what historical does really well is it does the tension, but it doesn't always deliver on the steam. And then everything else now, like what you're being fed in the algorithm, is steam, or no, smut without the steam.
Yeah. Like they don't do enough like showing them falling in love, showing the tension, showing the angst. And it's like, yeah, you can write a really good sex scene, but like I don't care about their characters because they have zero connection. And then they're saying I love you. And I'm like, wait,
they
literally only had sex. Like they're just having sex. How do you love each other? Like that's when I get like frustrated. Like I was reading so much Jagger Cole, which I like love his like dark mafia stuff, but I like literally have gotten every one of his arcs this last year. So it's like back, and he puts them out like every month. Like I don't know how he gets books out so fast, but it's like I was getting so annoyed because he like the last two books have been better, but I'm like, you're literally just having them hook up, having dirty sex scenes, and then they love each other. And so I was like, you gotta add more here. I also was annoyed because he did like multiple CNC books like back to back, and I'm like, I don't want to read the CNC back to back in the same like series. I'm like, so I think I've like gotten over the whole CNC thing too because I've read so much of it. I'm like, I can't with the like now, and it's a big thing now, like all popular and a lot of smut from it. But I don't know. It's like,
well, you think the authors in the publishing industry would have keyed into the fact by now that if you oversaturate shit, people are going to get tired of it.
Yeah.
So why don't you just stretch that out and like pepper in some stuff so that way the market isn't so oversaturated.
Money.
I have a feeling people are going to get real fucking tired of fantasy romance because it's everywhere.
It's gonna start. Yeah, I'm seeing that with Romantasy. It's gonna start that upward trend, and people are gonna get it's gonna get oversaturated, and then we're not gonna get the definitions or the distinctions between the good fantasy romance and then just the
And in like
No-
3 years,
no
people
fantasy
are going to
world
be
building,
like,
just
remember when
despite
we read
that.
fantasy romance? That was fun.
I know.
Because it's just like, it's a phase. And it's like you've oversaturated it so much and you keep giving us the same fantasy romance over and over and over and over.
Well, and I feel like they also promote it like, oh, if you like ACOTAR, you're gonna love this, and then you read it and you're like, this ain't anything like ACOTAR. Like what?
It had
They just
Faye in it?
use
No
that.
way. It's like it's
They do
just
the
like
same thing with Game of
ACOTAR.
Thrones. They do the same thing for Game of Thrones for the other media way. Like anything that's
Yeah.
popular, they're like, oh, it's like Game of Thrones. You mean just a fantasy, historical fantasy with political aspects?
Yeah.
That's a lot of fantasy. It's
Or if
the
there's like
genre.
there's
Yeah.
like a competition to the death, it's just like Game of Thrones. Or not Game of Thrones, the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like Divergent mixed with Hunger Games. They like mix the stuff like plus this.
It's like you don't need to, it can just be its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pepper in some new ideas.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like with oversaturated market is like certain trends are just all over. Like when you look at Instagram, it's like it's just constantly in your feed and you get checked out of it. Like that's why like I'll not read hype books because I'm like I don't want to read a hype book, and then I think I'm not gonna like it, and then it stopped me from reading good books because they're actually really good, but I don't want to be like, so I don't know. It's
like that's why I wish authors would just write some new elements into their fantasy romances just to mix it up a little bit, Like
I feel like they're always
things,
enemies
like
to
making your
lovers,
characters
enemies to
older.
lovers.
Yes.
Enemies to lovers.
It's like, could you throw in a different trope? Could you just, I don't know, make them
Do
complete
a marriage
strangers?
in trouble fantasy romance. No one does that.
There you go.
Ooh,
Marriage in
Crystal.
trouble fantasy romance.
I read one recently that was, they were already married. It was The Serpent and the Wolf. It was an arranged marriage and they start out married.
Oh.
And I was like, well, this is a new element.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like just something different makes something stand out. And I'm like,
Well, and they also always use enemies to lovers when it's not enemies to lovers.
No,
I'm like
it's not.
she kind of disliked him for a little bit and he's like super into her. I'm like, that's not enemies to lovers. Like I want true enemies to lovers. So like they know that's everybody's gonna go to that. So they just call it enemies to lovers.
I
on
saw
everything
on
now.
Amazon that's one of the like categories that you filter through now. It's enemies to lovers. I'm like, where's the friends to lovers?
Yeah.
I need books for that. Like, I don't want
Yeah,
to
the
read an
second
enemies to
hand-
lovers.
Marriage in trouble, childhood friends to lovers, and like a revenge plot. I mean, that's like any sort of amalgamation of that is so good. And put that in a fantasy romance. I mean, it's really prevalent in historical romance, but there's so many opportunities for that. In
Here's an idea. How about you make a fantasy romance where the characters are like 2 to 5 years age difference? Even if they're immortal, even if they're 500-year-old, could we have both of them be within that? How about 2 immortals falling in love in a fantasy romance?
What?
Or it be an immortal
Not a
female
human?
character. He's like
There's an
20s, but he's also immortal. But he's in his 20s and she's 40. Like, kind of, but he's immortal. So maybe do that. Reverse a little bit.
Change it up a bit.
Is it snowing outside?
It's snowing so pretty.
Y'all gotta start a reading sprint so I can go see the snow outside.
I was gonna ask if you guys wanted to go on another one.
I can do one more, but I gotta cook dinner soon because I'm out in San Diego. So I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I figured we would do one more and then kind of wrap it up so that I can get my children to bed.
Go ahead and start one.
Go play in the snow.
Have fun, Becky.
I doubt I'll play in it, but I'll go see it.
You'll look at it.
It's not enough to play in. It's just
Oh.
pretty.
It was snowing earlier today when I went outside.
I'm jealous. It's clear skies in San Diego. I wish we had a white winter one time.
It's just freezing here. No snow, though. All right. I'm going to mute, and then I'll start the timer.
Okay.
Happy reading. Hey everyone.
Hello.
Did you enjoy the snow, Becky?
It was very beautiful.
Yeah.
It's kind of covered. It's got a nice white layer on our back lawn. So
Got like a dusting. How
Yeah,
fun.
So I did not read anything, but
Apparently Theron got a flurry this morning. Got some snow too. How did everybody else's reading go?
Good. This one's interesting. I think I'm bouncing between too many books, though. That's the problem.
Which one are you reading right now?
It's the Wraith King one by Juliet Cross.
Okay.
So
Crystal, how'd your reading go?
Good.
Are you liking it?
Yeah, it's funny because like how they say they don't find each other attractive because they're two
Yeah.
different species, but I'm like, the way you're acting, you don't seem like you really find each other not attractive.
yeah.
There's already some tension here.
That's good. Yeah, I listened to this for a bit and I'm liking it now. At the beginning, I was like, are we going to, I guess it's supposed to be, she's supposed to be a bit of a, I guess, a bratty character. You know what I mean? Kind of like, because obviously it's like a play on, what is it called? Not the night before Christmas, but like, what's the Scrooge one called?
Christmas Story.
Yes. My brain is not working per usual. So I was like, oh, she's supposed to be like that. And then now we can kind of see a bit of her side of like her real personality coming out. I was like, okay. Because if she was going to be like this the whole time, I was going to DNF it. Crystal, did you end up reading that one? Was it just
Which
like
one?
magic? By Sarah Vogel?
No, I think April wanted me to,
Yeah.
but what was it? Well, there was one where like she does something and like it goes backward and it like prompts this like elf character guy.
That's this one.
Okay, I tried reading that last year with her, and I'm like, I'm like, nope, sorry, can't do it. I was like, the humor. I'm like, I just couldn't get the humor. It just felt weird for me. So it's like,
Okay.
that's like Christmas. That's why Christmas books don't really do it for me. Like, I can't get into it. I can do Hallmark movies and enjoy the cheesy cuteness, but I'm like, I just can't get into it for a Christmas book. I think historical romances is the only ones that I've enjoyed, like a Christmas setting kind of situation.
Because it still follows like the formula of a historical.
Yeah, it just adds a little bit of like, the snowy cold setting kind of magic kind of thing.
Yeah, like I don't usually read his like Christmas stuff, like Christmas, but like this year I got like a few ALCs that were like Christmas ones. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I liked it just for like the quick little audiobook, like little novella ones. But I don't read like a ton of like Christmas books every year. You see everybody list all their Christmas reads.
I'm doing this blurred cover challenge on Instagram. And they're all Christmas themed. I haven't read a single one of them, and we're on day 20. I'm like, I do not read Christmas contemporary romances.
I was wondering when I saw that, like in your stories, I'm like, oh my god, is she reading like all these books?
No, I'm just guessing what the cover is. I haven't read a single one of them.
No. I was like, oh, she reads a lot.
I just got done reading Frosted.
How was it?
It's
is that a weird one?
Christmas erotica about a woman who fucks a snowman.
That seems dangerous.
Oh my gosh.
Dear.
It's in my Christmas smoke log. I gave it points for its inventiveness.
Okay.
There you go.
Unique.
Like I saw that turkey one, that where turkey one, like again on Goodreads when I was going through like people's things, and I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot about it.
Yeah. It was the one I was telling you had way too much smut in it.
Oh, okay.
But I gave it points for its uniqueness. I've not read a weird ass romance where the woman literally fucks a snowball.
My toaster one from last year was still very memorable. I still remember that one.
It was weird.
So she's not reading any romantasy tonight. Too many Christmas books to get through. Sock, what are you reading? I'm curious. And then Theron said her reading went well. Felt like she's going to stay up late to finish it. Ooh, what are you reading then? I want to know.
I don't remember what she said.
So I said, I usually mean to read Christmas romance and then don't do that, but this is my year.
I mean, I guess I did read a couple. I read the 2 that I did for the holiday romance vlog I did.
And
then I read 2 for my Christmas smut.
The Merry White Cat.
The Merry Violet Cat, Kate? Received it. Okay. I haven't heard of that one. I haven't even heard of that author.
Mm-mm.
Let us know how it is. I'm curious.
The Merry Violet Cat wrecked it? Is that what it is?
I think it's received.
Yeah, I think
it's wrecked it.
I thought it's somebody else wrecked it or something.
Sally McKenzie.
We all have a different interpretation.
She'll let us know.
I liked one of them that I really liked. Oh, it's on Discord. One that I really liked was I think it's like Once Upon a Christmas Tree by Lulu Moore. And it was like this novella. I listened to the audiobook. The audiobook was really good. But like it was like setting up a new series that she has coming out. So it felt like it ended, but like we needed more, but it was really cute. So I think that was like one of my favorites for the Christmas books that I've read at least.
Gotcha.
I just read Spectacular by Stephanie Garber, but that wasn't really all that Christmassy.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like just like a magical winter festival.
I feel like I want to read all the Christmas books, and then I feel like I run out of time, and then I have to put them all in the next December. So they just keep piling up.
Yeah, when I see ones that people are showing that they read, I'm like, oh yeah, that was on my TBR last year, and it's still on there. Like eventually right. When Christmas, I'll read it.
Yep, this one was on my TBR last year. I'm reading it this year.
I feel like I'm really good at reading like fall themed books around like Halloween, but when it comes to Christmas themed books, I'm not good at reading them.
Yeah.
I think it's because I like the darker gothic, like paranormal stuff. So I'm more into that than like reading like the Hallmark kind of cutesy Christmas ones.
I think I would like some like Christmas like fantasy romance.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is for me. It's not specifically Halloween like themed, like specifically tied to that, and maybe that's why, because all these Christmas ones are more geared towards that. That I'm like, I want that as an element, but not like the
whole story.
You know? Yeah, it's like the vibes. Yeah. It's like spooky vibes, basically.
Oh yeah.
Like I really liked Midnight Neverwood, but that was more. It was like set on Christmas Eve, but it wasn't. It was just snowy and wintry, and I really liked that one. But I wouldn't call it a Christmas. It was just set on Christmas Eve. It didn't really have much else Christmassy about it.
Those are kinds I like. Yeah. Give me the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So Theron said she's reading A Daring Arrangement by Joanna Shope. Have you read that? Anybody read? I like Joanna Shope.
I think the only Joanna Shope is like that I've read was like this series that I really love, but I need to read her go into her backlist and read more from her.
Yeah, I've only read The Rogue of Fifth Avenue, but I have another one on my shelf I need to get to.
The Bride Goes Rogue is my favorite by her. It's so good.
Yeah,
that's the one I have, actually. The one I think you showed too, right, Amber?
That one's The Lady Gets Lucky. Like that one's one of my favorites.
Okay.
And then my other favorite was the Duke Gets Even. Sorry, my ring lights didn't hit that. I love those. I got really annoyed because I bought these, but then they're different sizes when I got it online, and it's from the same. I was like, God damn it.
I hate when that happens.
That's funny.
Like, why?
They
Yeah,
have.
it's a dark
I think
Christmas
she
romance.
has an Anastasia one coming.
Oh,
cool.
Here that it's. I know she just released a new novella, but I believe it possibly is coming down for next year. So I'm hoping that. I don't know with the whole publishing thing going on, if maybe she's going to be able to publish an Anastasia or Anastasia
Like when you
retelling
say
one.
Anastasia, is it like cartoon movie Anastasia or historical Anastasia?
I think it's probably like just a retelling. I don't know if it's really like I know what's her name did like the cartoony one.
Sophie
That
Lark.
I wanna
I
read.
tried reading that, but
Sophie
it was
Lark,
so. I don't know. I don't think
I
Sophie
have
Lark's
that book.
lucky
Like
for
I
me.
saw that you had it in your pictures, and I was like, oh my God, I have it, and I just keep putting it off because it's so long, and I heard
Yeah.
so many different things.
I might read it after this one because this one feel like I'm gonna fly through this one. So I might.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's supposed to snow, so I'm like, okay, it snowed a little bit today, so I'm like, okay, I gotta get in the mode, and it feels very like I said.
I think I didn't like
wintry.
it because it focused so much on her. Like the part that I read, it was so focused on like her childhood,
Yeah, that's what I heard.
and I'm like, I just
Yeah.
want to get to the romance element of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about her as a kid. So and it was so long, and I just don't like. I think I've read one other book by Sophie Lark, and it was just okay. And I'm just like, I just don't think her stories are for me.
Like I love her Mafia, like, but then when she went away from Mafia and she went like full smut, like the Minx and like those ones, it was like so much smut, and like it was like I didn't have the same, I don't know, it just didn't work as well for me as like what her Mafia stuff was like. I loved it. So, you know, I don't know. I appreciate that she's trying to branch out and do different things, you know, but I like it definitely Minx is like more erotica anyways. It is kind of like that, but I don't know. I just didn't connect to her like recent ones as much.
Yeah, I've only read the one. What's the one that it's Mafia and it's like has the strawberries one?
Brutal.
Brutal Prince.
Brutal Prince. Yeah, I've only read
and
that
see,
one.
I have like the original covers, which I was so excited to get these because they took it away, and now you have like the discrete covers, and this is like my favorite cover, like this model.
That's the only one I've read of hers other than the Anastasia.
And that's one of my favorites too.
I was like, this is fine, but it didn't blow me away.
Yeah. So Theron said this might work for you, Crystal. She said she read The Santa Suit by Mary Kay Andrews. It's only 200 pages, like a Hallmark movie type. I read it too. B and I read it last year, and I don't know that B enjoyed it as much as I did, but might be a good.
I might have to just reread True Love again by Millie Criswell. That one has like a Christmas scene in it, and it's like my comfort read. And again, it's another book I'm trying to get people to read because it's got a blue stocking heroine who goes from New York. She's a writer. She's writing dime novels of the Western variety. She tries to track down this guy who was in the Wild West, oh gosh, what's that show? With Annie Oakley and all that, the shooting, and you know.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Dad. So yeah, it's like if you like small town, I'm like, it's got a single dad, he's got that. It's fun. Mm-hmm. It's cute, and I love it. So that's my comfort read.
Frank Tripp shows up in Daring Arrangement. Is that from?
I think that's the Joanna. Is that the Joanna
Shoup, right? Yeah. Okay.
Is he a character in one of her other series? Is that what I forget who he is?
Yeah, he might be. Is it the one that maybe Amber showed? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. No, that one was. This is her most recent, I think, series. So
maybe it's the one I said. Maybe it's the Rogue of Fifth Avenue.
I think it might be because mine was Kit. Like Kit is one of them, and then he's like the Duke. I don't remember.
It's probably that one then. Oh my goodness. Jezel says, I hope I'm not too late to sprint, but I'm reading Dawn of Flames by Tessa Hale.
Which one is that? I thought I might have just. Is that one set in the school setting? Because I was looking at a Tessa Hale one.
I think that's the dragon, the white shoes
Oh,
dragon of the purple.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I
okay.
thought that was a
I
historical
literally just
romance.
read that. How did I not remember?
Oh, okay. Now
Did
that
you
you
say
say
Dawn
that,
of
I'm like,
Flame?
oh yeah, that's the why choose
I
dragon.
might be
Dawn of
wrong.
Flames. Yeah. She does all
Okay.
white shoes, right?
Dawn of Flames, yeah. So it's like I really like that. I actually wanted to buy them because they were really pretty, like these editions that she had that were like the hardback and like had the purple, pages, but like they weren't available on her site. So and I'm like, do I really need to buy? But I just thought they were so pretty with like the dragons, and I love purple, so I was like, I wanted those. But
Yeah, you put a dragon in a fantasy romance, I'm like, I'm gonna read it. So that's what's funny.
yeah. Yeah, the dragons in Game of Thrones meant more to me than like characters. So Drogon is like my baby.
Me too.
Oh, this one sounds neat. If you like Nutcracker, but the Kingdom of Sweets, a novel of the Nutcracker.
Yeah, I just read
Scratch the dark Christmas retelling itch. You read it?
that. I just read that for my Nutcracker vlog I did.
Oh,
It was
Did you
okay.
like it?
I didn't love it. I think I gave it 3 stars or 3.5 stars.
okay.
I liked the Nutcracker part of it, but it was definitely a dark story.
Okay.
No, not real romance in it though.
More dark.
Yeah, it's just like a dark retelling of the Nutcracker, but it kind of went off the rails toward the end of it. If it would have just stopped at the halfway point, I would have been like, "Holy shit, that was a 5-star book!" But I think it dragged out a little too long. So,
yeah, I felt like I should have known that there, and sorry, I did read the book. I feel like we read so many books that I forget characters' names, and that's one I read a couple of years ago. I was like, oh, I need to be better.
It's hard.
I know. And then some with the same name, especially in historical romances, like every person is named Sebastian.
Or like dark romances too. Like there's so many Killians, like you just have like so many of like the same name. Or same with like Mafia. I'll be talking about one of mine was like, oh, I think I read that. And I'm like, no, that was a different Dante. Like that's not this Dante.
It was a year ago. I have a kind memory, I guess. Oh.
Some ones I know, like I feel bad. I always remember the hero's name. And I don't remember the heroine's name. I'm like, I'll be like, oh, what was her name again?
I tend to do that, but I always remember one or the other. I can't. Sometimes I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both. That's true.
Although when I've already done my top 10 books of the year video because I'm just like, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to read anything in the next week that's going to wow me.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is high up here, and I still remember their names, and I was just like, I love their names.
I have a hard time with names of fantasy too. Like when like I was in an audiobook and they'll have like such similar sounding like names or they start with the same letter and I get like confused. I'm like, wait, who is this? Like don't have such similar names.
Yeah. A mafia dude named Dom in a dark romance. We get it.
Yeah.
Some of these names of like the actual worlds in fantasy, I swear it's like authors just like close their eyes and tap on their keyboard and they're like, yep, that's the name of this world. I'm like, what is this place called? How do you
I feel like it'd be so hard to be a narrator and like have to figure out, okay, how do I pronounce this?
I would hope they would tell them. The author would be like, hey, it's like this. Or this is how I was thinking.
I know. I was like saying a character's name wrong the whole time, like those Irish names, and then you hear it, and then you're like, oh, like I was saying the wrong name.
Yep.
Okay. So there is something in that Drowned Empire series that was a little bit of like, I don't know, aggravated me just a little bit. So the main character's name is Ryan. However, I felt was very bland for a fantasy. But also the way it was spelled, it spells like Reese almost. Like it's gonna, sound out Reese from Avatar. So I'm like, oh, is it Rihan? And something different? Like, no, it's right. I'm like, oh, I like Rihan. Rihanna. It's like Reese, but different.
I know, like in this one Rena Kent one, it was like the twins, and it was like I still never knew because like the twins' names were way too similar. One was like RIA, one was RYA, but then they went by different things. I'm like, I don't even know how they say their names because why would it be that similar? I just said their names wrong the whole time. Rhea, Raya.
I'm like, your name's gonna be Rachel, and your name's gonna be Sarah.
Yeah. If I was like, I'll just make up. I'll be like, whatever it is, like with the letter, and then I'll just like keep going, and that's the name the whole way through.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like that second book in that Radiant series, Crystal. I call it Eidolon. That is not how you pronounce that word. I had to Google it.
What is it?
It's pronounced Eidolon.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that.
And I'm like, Eidolon. No, I like Eidolon better.
Okay, character's name here. Is it Brishan?
Yes.
And then Ildiko?
That's how I say it. But I've also heard it said Ildiko.
Ildiko.
But I say Ildiko.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know what the pronunciation is, but I'm kind of going with it. Hooked on Phonics works for me. So
it's my version of the name.
I call it Ildiko and Brishan.
Just let my hands row over the keyboard and type my name. It's a magical world.
And they're always like Terra or something. It's like I read one. It was Valenteria. I'm like, how do you say
why?
And then I read another one and it was like Valenciasha or something. I'm like, the fuck?
Can we have like a somewhat just basic name?
Be called Vienna. Can it just be Vienna? Grief.
Right? If they made it, I guess, could it not be fantasy if it was called Vienna?
Sometimes you don't need to make these worlds like 20 syllables long. You can make it a 1-syllable world.
That's true.
Vera.
Right? At least we can pronounce that.
Vela. Not Vienna Teneriasa.
Oh my God, my son keeps calling me. Like whenever I'm on a live, that's when he calls me and he'll just call me back to back. Like, why are you ignoring me? Like, it's like,
you're like, I have friends, leave me alone.
I'm like, if I hit deny, like then he'll text me like, what the heck?
Like, I'm socializing.
It's so rare. He's just used to me just reading.
Right. He's like, what's going on?
It's like, no, Mom, you don't have friends. What are you talking about? You can't have friends.
How old is he?
He's 21.
Okay.
So yeah. Well, and he moved away. He moved out of state. So it's like, and he's been calling me a lot lately. He was supposed to be home for Christmas, but he couldn't come. Like all the stuff with financial stuff. So I think it just kind of sucked. That's why I took this week off. But yeah, so he's more annoyed that I don't play video games enough. He's like, you need to stop with the reading and play video game. I'm like, that's not where my priorities at.
Be like, you don't read enough.
Yeah, I'm like, you need to read something besides like a manga, you know?
Right. All right, everyone. I have to get my children off to bed.
Yeah, I got to make dinner.
I mean, my child was telling me it was bedtime too.
I saw her kissing you.
She was like, Mom, it's 9 o'clock. It's bedtime.
Well, thanks everyone for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks for doing this.
I think I have one set up I'm going to be setting up one for tomorrow at 2 for a live EST.
Okay. I will not be available. I'm actually
I won't be able to
with humans. It's a rarity.
I know we have like
Becky, I just realized what you meant.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually going to socialize with people tomorrow. Like, not online.
I may or may not be able to make it. I'm not sure yet, depending on if I can get my Christmas shopping finished.
I
Oh
mean,
no,
if
you're
no
like
one
you're last
asks me-
minute like me. I still have just a couple things to get. But then me and my mom are actually going for a couple days to Temecula to do like wine tasting on like Sunday. So like hopefully I get that shopping done.
If you do one Sunday, Crystal, I should be able to join Sunday.
Yeah, I think I'll do one Sunday too. It probably tomorrow if it won't be too long. I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to fit it in with all the Christmas shopping, the last minute ones I gotta do. But I know there might be someone from a fellow booktuber. I don't know. She might join tomorrow. I don't know. But if anything, I need to organize my shelves so it can be like, let's read and watch me laugh at myself trying to put things together. Put my books away.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, like, well, this isn't peak entertainment, but it's some sort of entertainment.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well,
All
good
right.
night, everyone. I'm going to end
Good
it.
night.
Bye.
Night.
Smile and wave.